Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to a quick view of sorts. Welcome to a quick view. The hands are already dirty. Welcome to a quick view taking place on a day of allergies, insanity, well, at the very least, a descent into insanity. We may have not gotten there yet. Perhaps we are merely at the level they call madness. We'll see. We'll see where we end up by the time we're done. SSD, who is now proving to be the bane of my existence. More on that in a moment. This is the Diamond Pro for Enduro. You will see this says rear axle because luckily for you, luckily for luckily for we, I had the bright idea to do the front axle all by my lonesome. It had to be an hour and a half. These are SSD C-hubs. This is an SSD axle. These are SSD link mounts. Nothing fits. Nothing fits. It was an hour and a half, and then obviously, okay, we'll get to some more stuff in a minute. Nothing fits. Nothing fits. You have to change everything. You will question everything while you're changing everything because this is how they got me. This is how they lured me, and against my own better judgments, I'd probably do it again. I don't know. I'm not that smart. So there's our center bit. If you're not familiar with the SSD Pros, the way they work is you have a center part of the housing. Everything comes individually plastic packaged, so you get to pop them all open, and then you have little plastic bag cuttings all over your bench. So the axle comes with a center, and then it comes with alloy outer pieces, which is nice. It's cool. And we have the bonus of that, which is the center portion of the axle is a wonderful little, it's a bag inside of a bag. It's bagception. How many bags have I cut open so far? So here you've got your housing. They slide over stuff. Oh, real nice. And then the tubes just go in like that. Then you build yourself an axle. And this is how they got me. This is maybe how they'll get you. I have a throwback occurring right in front of you. That is Yella. Yella answered the question many moons ago, many videos gone by, of would I trade overdrive for dig? And I think the answer that we arrived at was yes, he's still running dig, so he has no overdrive. These are element axles, so he's been running 50-50. I personally prefer around a 20%, between 20 and 25, 18 and 25%, let's call it there. We've got probably 18 to 20 is where we land most commonly. So when you buy this Diamond Pro axle, you get two third members. You get this delightful brass one, which is not remarkably heavy, but it is low weight. And it slaps right on there like that. And then you just take all the bits and bobs from inside your housing and you slap them in here, and you put the screws on, and you put it on, and you throw it on there, and you're done. Or you opt for the route of insanity, and you take this housing, which goes on here like this, and you might notice that is suspiciously high pinion, because what it does then is it allows you to use regular AR-44 gears. So you still have all of your element bits, like in the front. These are still element C-hubs, element knuckles, element universals, all the element bits. But now I've got high pinion, and I've got an overdrive gear in the front. And right over here we have an underdrive gear for the rear. So the intent is to assemble this gear, this piece of equipment thusly. And then we will have overdrive and underdrive on Yella, and I think he will benefit from this. And also, they look super cool. Now, it is a high pinion axle. Element traditionally runs behind the axle steering. That is not possible. The drive shaft is exactly where, like imagine this tab comes out, that's exactly where the linkage would go. So you do have to switch your linkage to the front. It can then actually use a non-curved linkage, like this one has little hips in it. It could just be a straight linkage. It would work just fine. And in the front, you've got to run a pretty short horn. I think that one's like a 15 millimeter. Everything comes out really nice once you get, your servo on axle adapter that you're running, you've got to discard that, and then you have to replace it with a servo on axle for AR-44. And it's not an easy fit because there's a little bit of a taper. These taper a little bit, and this hole doesn't perfectly line up with the hole in the servo on axle bracket. So you have to mount the long screw. It's like a 40 mil. You got to mount that first, and then press the adapter down as hard as you can and get these two screws in there, and then not pay attention to which ones you're grabbing. And yeah, there we go. We got a little nipple action. We got one there and we got one there because they're definitely not backing out. It's the longest screw I could fit in there. Then, as you're assembling it, you get to put together, and you'll reach a point. I hope you won't. I did. You will reach a point where you can't turn this at all. Like, this is all wired. This is all hooked up. But you can't make that turn. You can take your little tool and you can put it through the pinion and try to crank it, and the resistance is incredible because what the good folks at SSD did, and it occurred more than one time during the assembly of the front end of this. The first one was this tube on this side has a 5mm bore, and the element drive shaft, the universal shaft, is 5mm, where it passes through an M5x11 bearing. And the little neck collar on the drive shaft is about 6mm deep. I think it was 5.8. And the bearing is 4mm deep. So, occurring somewhere inside that area right there. It's been remarked, I haven't been. Right inside that area right there, it was binding up tremendously. So I had to dig through my drift of numeric drill bits. It turned out to be a number 7. So I just had to drill out the inside of that shaft a little bit, and now everything spins freely. Also, Element uses 5.7 by 7.5mm balls. These little guys are 7.5 exactly. So I had to caliper through the hollow balls to find two that would actually fit and that I didn't have to knock in with a hammer. So the fitment on all of this was nightmarish. But this is the extent that we would go to, because I want overdrive, underdrive, and these are the hoops that we have to jump through to get it. I always wonder why there's so many screws. They give a lot of screws. They do provide instructions, rudimentary instructions for basically how to insert the ends, and then you put the little screws in, and then you put the thing with the bearing on. And another point that should 100%. I hate these. I can't get them open. That should absolutely be brought to your attention is, let me grab right here. This is the inner pinion bearing from an Element axle. And this is the inner pinion bearing from the SSD axle. It's a little bigger. Well, I mean, this is the outer pinion bearing from an SSD axle. And whether you're using the Element bits, which would be this one, or you're using the one to adapt to AR-44 gears, they both use this monster. So if you're going to do these, be prepared. Servo on axle, not easy. So if you have chassis-mounted steering, you're going to be better off. Certainly. I nipped my panhard mount off, so don't cut your panhard mount off. I would honestly, I would have to recommend against what I'm about to do. If I am now, I've graduated mentally to a state where I view the Element axle and either the Stealth X or the Stealth XF gearbox as partners. They are a married couple. And I want to say that this is the only guy that has Element axles without an Element gearbox in the middle, I think. I have Element gearbox in the middle with other axles, but I don't think I pair it because you can't underdrive, overdrive. Nobody makes them. So I want to do what I want to do, and nobody's going to tell me any different. So I am going through this level of trouble so that you do not have to. It has been hours, and I pray, above all, that this just goes together mercifully. Oh, and I am using AMKs. I'm using cheap ring and pinion, so yes, they do indeed need to be shimmed. I shim the front. I use CRC, which is, if memory serves, Calandra Racing Concepts. I have them right over here. We're occupying all this video. These little guys right here, they come in a bag of 20. This is I think they're 7 by 9 by 0.1. And shimming the front, I had to put 2 shims on the gear side. So there are 2 shims here. Yes, there are 2 shims on the gear side. Your mileage may vary because we are seeing some stuff with the tolerance. I'm also running 2 of this shim. There's one. Which are 5 by, I think they're 5 by 7 by 0.1. I'm running 2 of those on the inside of the front pinion because I got the mesh just about right. It's not remarkably difficult to set the gear mesh. We can actually get to that because we've got these installed. Let me throw a second one of these on here. If I can grab one without looking. No, I can't. Five millimeter shims are a lot more common. They come with a lot of stuff. So we're running 0.2 millimeters of shim on there. There's those little shiny boys down there. Put this in here, and then we will start with no shim. We've got our usual, what are they? 7 inside, 13 outside, and I think they're either 3 millimeters or 3.5 millimeters thick. That is your, so I just buy them in Amazon tubes. They don't need to be anything exotic. I don't want like that. I want to say we go like this. And you will find that you will get a lot better mesh out of an 833 than you do. He's got the big one. He's got an 824 in the front. I want to see the movement on that because you can see we have, like, we can move it quite a lot. And not under. Sometimes it's easier to pop them in here so it'll hold the. Yeah, it's not bad. Give it a little. Turn it this way. How does that sound? Falls down. The rear, I would say, this comes from a non-expert opinion. The rear feels like it needs 1 shim per side. It feels pretty well centered. There we go with, you know, we have a very, what is that classified as? Precision versus accuracy. If you put 4 bullets directly through the bullseye, that is both precise and accurate. If you put 4 bullets inside, say, the 7 ring, that is accurate, but not precise. If you put all 4 bullets into one hole way over here when the target is over here, that is precise, but not accurate. And what I have found after assembling some SSD stuff here is that they are precise, but not accurate. Because I'm running a different. Nope, doesn't like that. Oh well, it helps if you put it in the right way. So precise. I'm standing on precise but not accurate because the fitments are very tight. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not really it might actually get away with another shim on the shaft here, but I don't want to pull it in too far and have too difficult of a time attaching the drive shaft. So we're going to go with that one shim on either side. And I had to CV joint it a lot to get it down that quiet with the A24. The A24's got a lot more growl to it. And now it's pretty simple. What I need to do here is I need to take this. We might be done with that. I need to take this axle off, which looks like this. Honestly, I had anticipated more warfare getting that out. And then I remembered it's the rear axle. So for this rear axle, because we're doing the AR-44 swap, this is one of those things that gets me in trouble. Because the actual carryover of parts, particularly into the rear axle, is pretty small. It's basically these 4 screws in this shaft, but not this bearing, because we run much bigger bearings in the SSD housing. That is the amount of stuff I need. So this is one of those instances, and I am losing a link riser on this. We are going to, yeah, well, we get to see the impact of that. But it's pretty close. It's a little bit higher on this guy, a little bit higher. Not splitting the difference, but it's a little bit higher. So that guy is not screwed in because I've lost the bag. There it is. I don't know. We've been in long enough now that I honestly, like, is this something that I would recommend? No, I would not recommend doing this. At least not the AR-44ification process. Now, it does open up some real opportunities for just run amok level of stupidity, which is you can do 18% in the box, 10 in the back, 20 in the front. You do 48%. You do 48% overdrive. But what I like is, I like a Diamond Pro axle. This is, I mean, it's not, you saw me not do it. You saw me not do it and you didn't stop me. And now I'm sitting here trying to figure out if I can squirt the slippery juice in without taking the third member off. Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on. Was anybody hollering it? Can I get, no. Can I get in, can I get in that way? We're already, should have just taken it apart at this point. No. Okay. Now do you see what you've done? And yes, I do acknowledge that it's more of a slippery sauce than a slippery juice. It's definitely more the consistency of a sauce. I guess like gear oil would be slippery juice. It's probably going to be a little quieter now that we're not just running it bone dry. Those gears barely even had any, like, you know, oil to stop it from rusting before it makes it out of the factory. Also, I think I had the axle halves in backwards. So this will help. All right. We're gonna do our best to remember what we're doing. It's bigger bearings all around. That's inarguably a plus. I should probably thread lock these in, but instead we'll just go to like 8 on the Ugga meter and we'll just do it that way. Just do it like that. I'm putting the screws in completely wrong order because I've lost my mind from the arduous experience of installing that front axle housing, and I did it to myself. It was as far from mandatory as one could possibly get. It is, one might be able to present the argument unnecessary. That's not lined up. Now it is. But I do love a Diamond Pro, and this Diamond Pro experience today, my first experience with the Enduro Diamond Pro, it hasn't soured me on the experience. The poor QC on that front tube I mean, it's not great. I'm not blown away by it. But in the front end, honestly, because you have to realign your steering, you have to move it to the front of the axle. The pinion angle is not right. It's right enough for today, but the axle needs a little more kick. I dialed a ton of caster into it. That's not bad. That's not bad. And then your servo, if you're running servo and axle, that's not going to work. So the number of easily applied applications for the Diamond Pro for Enduro are small. The rear, I'm hoping, continues down this path of, I saw where it landed, down this path of, it's going together pretty easy. Compared to what we have gone through today, and by we, I mean us, and now you're coming along for the ride, this has been downright relaxing. We just built a rear axle. We are going to use the included screw, are we? Yeah, why not? Yeah, why not? I don't think there's going to be a significant weight difference. They're pretty much very close. But, I mean, you can tell there's definitely some hit the ground stuff going on there. So, yeah, yet another element axle in the bin. We're building up something of a surplus. And if memory serves, this is the center pumpkin part is threaded all the way through. So you just want to get it going a little gradual. We're good. I like to do upper link first before anything else. And the Enduro link riser will not. That's a... I can't remember who makes that link riser. I want to say it's something that sounds like SSD. It's like SSR or something. That is not going to fit, because that part is super clever, and it has two little eyeball screws that go through there so it doesn't move, and the top part through there. It'll pop into my head who makes that, and then I'll yell it out. It will be long after this video is over that it occurs to me, but just so you know. And then if we leave everything attached like this, we'll just pop these bad boys back on. That's how quick it is to get an axle on. I get the feeling there's going to be that the relinking process is not done, front nor rear. And this falls wonderfully in line with the spirit and ethos of the Canyon change, in which we have changed axle housings, which is a single thing, but by Nacho theory, we have changed so many things. The front caster angle is different. The front pinion angle is different. We've gone to high pinion. We've added overdrive in the front and underdrive in the rear. It feels like shock angles are pretty close to where they were before. Look at that pinion in the back is not touching any, like, look at the scarification of being on an element axle, and that's not going to get near rocks anymore. That's way up out of the way. So we weren't traveling down this cold, dusty road for no reason. I wanted underdrive, overdrive, and I was willing to sacrifice for it. In hindsight, that being, if not 2020, then a very close approximation. Yeah, I could have just ordered SSD Diamond Pros for 10.2, gotten some Amazon guts, loaded them up with those Amazon guts, and then I would have had 2 full sets of axles. But that's all behind us. We don't have that. That's not an option. Put the clampy hexes down. I had to modify these Amazon brass hexes fairly thoroughly in order to get them to fit element axle stubs. And then I found some old aluminum touring car stub axles, and those fit in the back. And here's the problem with working on this. I end up with so many screws left over because they actually give you a whole bunch of extra screws. I need to grab the right set of tires. Oh, all the way on the top rack. Oh, and again, in the holistic approach of the Canyon change, in betwixt when he last drove and as he sits before you now, I have put all of his wheel nuts into the drawer. As I changed all of his foams, he is now running Crawler Innovations comp cuts with soft outers. So those have not yet been auditioned in the, of course, 98 scoring Tusk LPs. I'm hopeful. And I feel like we're going to have something akin to a different driving experience. We have made a not insignificant number of changes. And here's hoping. We will at least, before we head out there, he's a 4S boy, and I'm looking around the bench. I don't think I have a 4S currently charged, so for benching around, we can easily put a 3S pack in there. Now, see, I don't know why it feels like he lost weight. That should be impossible. We haven't touched anything. Oh, okay. So, the servo mounting position, yeah, there is way too much clock on that front axle, but we should be able to get some. Well, let's see what the. Yeah. There's a lot of caster in there now. So endpoints are going to have to be reset for sure. We just had stiction from his shocks not moving for a while. We can do the thing. Sits. Yeah, no, springing's still good. He just hadn't been manipulated. It moved the servo back a little bit. This used to be a lot closer to the bumper up front, and the battery was not nearly so close to the electronics suite. I really should just honestly think about sticking some really lightweight. I've got the sliders that got pulled off of. Do those fit though? Look at that. Might have to throw the Rattler's old sliders on there. Bolt right on there. And then maybe we can do something about this big box. Radio. This is an old AG Innovations Ninja. It's the speed of a 4S servo on 3S. We have installed the pinion. Well, you got to use reverse pinions on an AR-44 to put one in backwards. I've done the accidental backwards on Elements, but does not appear to be a problem here. Let's just do the low and slow. That is the temp. Oh wait, we can't. This is a V2. We don't have proper cruise control. I got to do it manually. Well, that's a lot. We've got very nearly a VRD level of underdrive overdrive split. Let's see if we can. Is it gonna be too much? I don't know. Do we have to put an 830 in the back? Possibly. Do we have a bunch of those? Yes, we do. What am I spinning around for? I'm looking for trim tape. No trim tape. We'll just settle for green tape instead. It doesn't have to stay stuck on for long. Let's get those roughly... There we go. It's about right, right? Is that about right? Right? Right. And now we can see here. Okay, so that's 1 for the front. 2. 3. Coming around. Yeah. High 30s. High 30s. Because 824 is 20%. And then the back should be 10. So it should be 30%. Should be 30%, right? Tell me it's 30%. Either way, I in the past have not been happy with 30%, but we don't know until we try it. I don't know if I have an 827 to swap out an 827 in the front. I would prefer not to touch the front at all. So moving forward, if anything, I would swap this rear to just an 830 and drop him down to 20. He'd just be all 20 in the front. And we've got the low speed control that looks like this. So it's not going to impact us too much with the 20% faster front end. He runs a fairly low 1400 and some odd kV, so he's not overly fast. So then we, of course, we dig through, and what we'll do is we'll get him ready. We'll get him ready to do the thing. He's over here. That's our scientific method for. Wouldn't 4 revolutions be 25%? Because then that means the rear made 3 revolutions to 4 of the front. That's 25%. That doesn't work out. Is it 30%? Is it 20%? It's a percentage. And here's the best way to measure your percentage of overdrive and underdrive. Do you like the way it drives? Then it's the correct number. Science. We're going to take him, not with this battery. In the secret of background, we'll get a 1300 4S pack charged up, and we'll throw that in there. And we'll see how he does making just that singular canyon change in this here. I get sort of a quick view-ish of the SSD Diamond Pro for Enduro, which, I don't know. Would I buy these just to move all of the element guts over? I don't think I would. I did it purely for the overdrive and for the look. I mean, they do look super cool. Anyway, let's see how they do. Together. Let us find out together.
In the 2 or 3 seconds that has passed since we last spoke, Yella had some more little small tweaks. Basically, lower links, front and rear, changed because I wasn't happy with the pumpkin angles, with the pinion angles. Front tie rod changed because the length just wasn't right. It was causing an odd dynamic with the servo horn. Found one in the bin that's one of those like double crinkle tie rods, and it allowed me to put a longer horn on, which now gives him really quite full steering to both sides. I am hopeful. Ooh, that's some overdrive right there. Okay, all right. Ooh, the suspension. I know that the underdrive and the axles are what we're supposed to be looking at for the purposes of this, but his compliance looks real good. Yeah, there was no hesitation on that route at all. All right, show me what you got. Small beam. This is a situation where big overdrive can help or harm. And look at him on it. Yeah, well, if we shuttle, that's going to be way too easy. We can pull out, the further right you are, the more of a thing you're doing, and he done did a thing. I feel like we may have made an across the board thing here, and well, it was definitely worth it. And I can tell in that first 30 seconds, like, what has happened. It was definitely worth it for this. We've got to look at side hill. His strength on side hill, and I think honestly why he was so good at it, was, oh, his turning is even tighter because of the underdrive overdrive. I think he was honestly so good at side hill because he was 0-0. No overdrive, no underdrive. Let me drive out of both cameras here. I had a moment where I thought, just be quiet and then you can cut. And then that went away, so. Oh, that little drive right there. Oh my. Little slip? Nope. Wow. Yeah, okay. Okay. Geometry should be largely unchanged. I didn't move any link mount positions except that we lost the link riser in the rear. But when the pumpkin rolled, the rear link is sitting almost exactly the way it was before in upper link relative to the lower link. So I don't know how much changed in the back. We have a little bit of, not torque twist, but like well, again, it's torque twist. The body drops on the passenger side a little bit, like on open ground under throttle. But we need to get into some transitional stuff to see, is that happening all the time, or is it just a perception thing? Do you ever see a stack of 2x4s and T111 siding and think to yourself, boy, I hope that's all the 2x4s I need? Foolishly knowing that that's not all the 2x4s you need. You're going to need way more 2x4s than that. I'm trying to go in here really slow. And again, we get out towards this little roundy boy here. The right-hand side is the tougher side. So I want to see if we can get all the way. We want to tip in difficult, because if I go back this way and get across there, we've lowered the difficulty level. Oh, that is some drive. What's the snake's name? Nagini? Nagini. I just went incidentally into Avada Kedavra. Oh my God, he feels so good. Oh, like, look at that dig. I'm forgetting that I have dig a little bit. Oh. So yeah, we got the crawler innovations in there. We've got these sweet axles. 824 in the front, 833 in the back. 824 is 3-to-1, and it's usually 830, just 3.75. No, I'm not. It's too early, and in between, in that 2 seconds, not only were changes made, but I mowed and weed eated all of the lawns. That took about 2 hours. So I'm desperately trying to remember what I said to you all about 5 minutes ago, but it's all gone. The great mind eraser. Okay. He has shown some. I want to see that right side one more time. Out of frame, coming back into frame. Let's take the bad approach. I want to come outside of this right here. Can we dig that over? Oh, we almost can. As soon as we put any power to the rear axle, it just nudges it back over. Went for a little hoppity pop. Okay. Can't quite get that far. All right. Get that inside. Get that inside. There you go. Cut back the other way. This is the front end not helping the rear at all. Oh, that's too much hop. You got on easy side again. Ooh. Oh. I think a thing that the camera might not show is he's driving exceptionally light. Like, he feels very light, which translates to, like, not tippy. He doesn't have that tip. Like, he doesn't feel like he's going to swing up over. When we get up over like that, it never feels like the front end's going to pass over or the rear end's going to slide out. It's just so much drive. It's so much drive. And what am I feeling? We're covering a lot of things here. What am I feeling in terms of how does the dual stage feel relative to the single stages, the OE foams that were in them? It feels very much the same, except that the positionability, the maneuverability, particularly of the front end, now that it has that much caster in it, that feels genuinely improved. Like, we can get really over right there. I'm trying to get the high side as light as I can, and it doesn't lift. Look at the angle of that front wheel with that caster flip in there, because now it's cambering, it's positive cambering like 10 degrees. So we're keeping that side of the tire super flat. I'm trying to self-right him, and I can see exactly what the camera can. We all agree that Voldemort's downfall was hubris, right? Like, he didn't take it seriously enough. We're trying to take it a little bit seriously here, but I'm just glad I'm not holding a weed eater anymore. My hands are glad, my body's glad. I'm trying to get him really far right. I don't feel like it. There it is. Okay, not that far right, but you know what? We're gonna stick with it. Okay, his tip comes on maybe as slow as anybody now, and I don't understand we didn't change the geometry. Instances where the underdrive overdrive is not or should not be impactful, is now impactful. I mean, sure, just pull that over. No, that's a rollout. Yella is now the maker of doing stupid things. I'm like, well, you know, I feel like we can pull this. Let's try to pull this. I can absolutely feel that the torque split, the front rear, almost as if I'm maneuvering him independently. You can determine what his rear end is going to do almost wholly independently of the front end. And I'm also taking away one thing here. He has a slight little bit of tippiness to him, partially because of the lightness, partially because when he's swinging his axles over, there still is a little bit of that pendulum to it, not nearly as much as he had before, which again, makes no sense. But I'm thinking, how much of his strength is coming from being on 2.2 LPs, from being on 5 1/4s? What would he be like back on even the ruptures at 5 inches or so, or 475s? Like, what would he be on 475 megalithics or something? I don't know. It's a recipe that, look at that front tire. Yeah, it's not natural. Again, it makes me want to do foolish things. I hope the camera is showing that when I said it was like a double bend tie rod, it perfectly wraps over the diamond shaped pumpkin so that he gets absolutely full throw in both directions, and it almost bottoms out at full throw. So it is so close and so tight up. I'm doing a lot of hand gestures behind the camera that I don't know if I would have a better tie rod arrangement. We're just messing with gravity right now. Look at that tire. Look at that steer angle. And he is so stable. And if he's that stable on 5 1/4s, I don't know. I don't know. This is a Canyon change. And I think we have a net sum positive of another level. Like we're up another tier, because I'm not seeing anything that I'm like, oh, I got to change that. So the only thing I can think of better to bring me back down to earth, other than just going to the side hill and probably falling off of it, is to just go knock some gates. Okay, can't see the other side. Oh, man. Oh, that's good. I think I actually felt the additional clearance of the... again, it's additional Amazon being placed into Yella. I think they're either RC Lions or a gobbledygooky name for the link set. I think they're for TRX4, so they have the double bend rears, and they just happened to... I wanted a lower that was about 2 or 3 millimeters longer than what was on there, and they were that. So it just set the pumpkin. I didn't have to change ends or anything. And in the front, I wanted links that were about 1.5 millimeters shorter, and we got there. The pinion angles, both ends look pretty much perfect. And the battery now, because we're battery on servo and axle, BOSOA, it looks a little wonk, like because of the angle, it's tipped. Again, hand gesture. I'm doing this hand gesture. I'm going, it's a little tipped like that. But there's so much caster up front, like baseline level caster. So I'm gonna leave it, and we're gonna try to dig around and see if we can pull back through the other side of one. Oh, I could have, but I let off dig and he kind of shot forward. So let's see if we can do this without not... Oh, we're spinning it. We're spinning it. No. Okay. Okay, I've lost steering. I think the servo horn flipped over. Well, I've lost steering altogether.
3 days later.
So as it turns out, the issue with the servo was not one that was immediately correctable. I don't have any sort of rock solid thoughts or ideas about it. I know that with that particular brand of servo, what is on the back window, people have recently been experiencing some servo deaths when those servos are paired with AM32 type controllers. And that servo had been in there a while, and just up and went. So I don't know. I don't know what caused that. I just know that I had to wait for Amazon. There's now a 60 kg flash hobby in there, which we are fond of using around these parts. And you know, when we get into situations like this, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to try to get out of it. Can we get over that? Yeah. Because that's what I did last time, and that's what I've always done. So whatever happens with the servo happens with the servo. And it's sort of a little bit of an acid test is taking place now as we have fast forwarded, which is I made 0 changes to the vehicle other than I took out the dead RS500B and I replaced it with a 60 kg flash hobby. Same battery, same everything, same settings. Did have to change endpoints, but all the same settings compared to where we were on the rock the last time. And if the servo is fine over time, then this gives us an idea. And if it dies, it gives us another idea. It's points recorded, like this is the scientific method. I didn't feel it proper to make big structural changes to the vehicle, but rather to just do what we were doing before and kind of see. If anybody's been following along the saga of servos dying at the hands of AM32 type controllers, or, you know, whatever's going on, we know one side is saying one thing and the other side is saying the other, so we will see. Hopefully, we'll see what we see. But beyond that, and before that, we will hopefully get to see the benefits of our Canyon change. It feels right there, right when he got light in the front. And look at that sidewall holding. The words that were about to come out my mouth were, oh, and look, we can just set it back down. Where it feels, Yella is solidly planted right now. Steer, get up on that corner. I'm just gonna mess with the steering. Okay, we've got the rear tire hung up a little. Let's try pulling it back over this way. Do a little dig move. There we go. I need to get that rear to rise up outright like that. Taking this a little, ordinarily I'd be a little spicier on the entry speed. I don't want to get too much steer angle into it and whop it with the front tire. Get some good droop out in the rear there. I'm hanging the top side tire. I didn't anticipate holding up that high. That's that underdrive is helping us out here in the rear. I'm trying to look under his body to see how close I am to it, because we really got far away from this side. Ordinarily, we hug it a lot tighter. No, that was really easy through there. I'm not seeing... I guess the singular drawback here would be cost. If there's the cost would be a drawback. You know, it's about $90, and not cost, regret, because I could have just put. He's basically got AR-44s under him now. No, that might have cost more. I don't know. I'm in a pit. I'm in a hopefully bottomed pit and not bottomless pit of self-doubt. So I feel like we should talk about the housings, the Diamond Pros a little bit. Diamond Pros for Element. The strength for me was the ability to use regular AR-44 gears. I wanted that overdrive, underdrive. High pinion is just a wonderful bonus to go along with that. Better clearance, which allows me to run my front axle kicked further, so pinion pointing more towards the ground than I ordinarily would, because then I can get more caster, like a baseline level of caster in the front. Yes, we have to flop the steering over to the front, but if you choose your tie rod correctly, the clearance is fantastic. And they would indeed be just a bolt-on if you weren't swapping diff parts. If you weren't swapping ring and pinion. Let's see if I can get out of this. There's so much grab in these tires. You can get... Gozer's flat top, and he lands upside down quite a lot. I mean, if we were to put a bug on Yella, he would be illegal. He would be a weapon of uncommon power. But we can, with that big tire, we can get out of a lot of trouble. Can't get out of all the trouble. We can get out of most of it. And it's not happened yet, but maybe today will be the day. Maybe today will be the day that at Green Line we find someone who is capable enough of hitting, what are we, was 4, 5, 6? Yeah. Of doing the 4, 5, 6 from the one-seated position. It's tough. 4, 5, 6 from one spot, because they are spread out pretty far. Easy peasy mac and cheese lemon squeezy through 4. Got it turned in more than early enough to line up to 5. And I think because of the big 2.2 LPs, I think we can cheat over this. Ordinarily, that's a big drop right there. Did I hang in enough? Did I stay up enough? I might be too high up on the high side. We'll see where the rear end pulls through. This is trying to develop a muscle memory, because yeah, that was good. That was pretty much straight through the center. It's 6. As I say, did I turn in too early? Are we gonna brush? No, we're clear off the low side. 6 is the one where the vision gets a lot of parallax. That's pretty far away from me now. And you know, I wish I could see through the eyes of camera 2 right now. I can't tell where he is. Okay, that looks like it's going to drop too far. Okay, we're gonna play it legit. Now this is not fair because with rigs like Ratchet, I've done this approach right here. Anything with a plus 475, that sun is so bright. Oh, I need that cloud to come back. He can kind of pull up through here. And if we can just get right through here, it's not. Like, it's too easy. I try to do the restriction where you stay aboard for 456. So I'm going to say that that's not a perfecto on 456. Because the reset to the bottom is a much easier line. If we have to stay on the rock, we got to work a little bit harder. And again, I've mentioned this in quick views and reviews of other products before. If we're not talking about the product, that means the product's working. I don't have to think about the axles. That clearance, we had a little hang up there. Kind of. I wish I could do that thing where they put their finger in their mouth and they make a boop. I wish I could, boop. We kind of booped loose. And I have to think that high pinion and the shape of the pumpkins is what got us there. I'm feeling better and better. I've had a couple days to think about it, and I'm feeling better and better about the Diamond Pros because never look at a product. Cost is always money's always an object. Cost is always a factor. But when you're trying to review something performance-wise, don't think about the money. The money is, of course, that gets rolled into the whole review. But performance does not have a dollar value on it, not in my estimation. We'll close out this gated portion from a standing position. We'll leave the bucket chair behind us. Now I'm either not going to go enough high side because, again, potentially too far away. I wanted to get this front end. Yeah. They're more slippery. They're just more slippery. That housing got through there. Now the question is, I'm way off on the high side. Is that going to rise up? I don't think so. I think I got too I got too spicy with it. I'm standing too far away. We're 5 inches away from the white side. This is camera stuff all the way. Yeah. Hubris! This brought us down. I had so much more room. That angle needs to come in a bit more oblique. If you were looking directly down from the top and you put the white marker at the 3 o'clock position of the clock and the yellow marker at the 9, you have to approach from like a 4:30, 5 o'clock angle. And we kind of came in at 6 o'clock and it didn't work out. Inserts are working, axles working, everything is working. And you know what? Don't tell anybody, but the servo feels like it's got more torque too. I was trying to find a spot where I felt like I could get single setup coverage of gates 8 and 9. That's that push. Of gates 8 and 9 from 2 cameras. And I'm here to perhaps say that I don't think that position exists. I had to move it around. 8 did what 8 tries to do. Oh, it's very subtle. This isn't a points thing. We're just seeing how it does. So when I get right here and I'm coming across this way, and then when I cut back that way like that, that underdrive overdrive makes his turn in so much sharper than it was on the element axles that it's just plain flat worth it. And is gate 9 too easy? I don't know. Who am I to judge? Green line is supposed to be the easier line. And for guys like this, if you have a decent amount of ground clearance, if you're portaled, etc., then the 9 is pretty much like that. 9 is a drive-through. 8 can trick you, 7 can hurt you. 6 is tough. 5 can be tricky. 4, I've seen most people. Yeah, 9 is the easiest gate. That's fine. We give you a little bonus at the end. We're already here. The wind is starting to kick up. We've got dig. Let's just punch through the back 9, the yellow. They go green, yellow, red in degrees of difficulty. Let's just see if we can't punch through over here and see what it looks like. Because the yellow course, being as tight as it is a lot. It's a lot easier to set up camera. I think it is a dig / 4-wheel steer course if you don't want to have to use a lot of reverses. It's very choppy, and the front, I don't know if I'm too far over. Ooh. And the front side of Leviathan is choppy and is a place that is fairly low difficulty until you start putting gates on it. It is a perfect exhibition of, you want to make something more difficult, cut some tennis balls in half. Look at that tire angle. Okay, wait, we'll make sure we're all the way through 2. Okay, we're through 2, we're gonna dig. We're gonna pull a little more, right there. I'm gonna come up a little high, which is probably not wise, but his geometry should be happy with it. Try to pull it down a little more. There we go. We're into 3. Now let us see. Oh, I might have turned that in not soon enough. Want to get that pawing up, clawing up, clawing up. There we go. Now we have to try to hold it in that exact position to reposition to. Over here where we can hopefully hit, for again, a single position, 4, 5, 6. Very choppy in here. And we want to get up high that way because that rear end is going to try to drop on us. I hope we're not too hung up there, because that low side is going to come at us. Yeah. You saw me knock that off because I cut that steer back and we just dropped. We just dropped away. Could have had that. This is the enhanced degree of difficulty here. Ooh, that's real high there. Hook it, hook it, hook it, hook. Okay, gonna have to cut steer because we need to get past this point. There we go. That front will settle back down. Now I need to initiate my turn. Did I initiate it too early? Are we gonna brush high side? No, I think we're good. I think we're good. Now this is where we're gonna want to use an uphill dig. Oh, I'm telling y'all, peeps, the 2.2 LP Tusk is a phenomenal dig tire. And if you cheat code and easy mode it, okay, something, okay, dig, 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 dig. Oh, Yella is putting on a dig exhibition here. Stay high, because the rear end is going to want to swing down. And this is super chop. I think this section is probably actually going to show more of the pumpkin clearances. Oh, that's so light, that's so light, that's so light. Is that rear end going to drop in? It's coming right for it. Okay. Oh, I don't know. Okay, wait. It's inside the middle of the wheel. No, we got it. It's in the middle of the wheel. Not quite the right entry. Let's dig down to line up for 7. Oh. Dig has always felt good since it was installed in here, but it feels really good now. We're gonna have to do the quick cut here because the high side marker for 7 is behind a pole. Oh, I did. Okay, all right. We'll give him the benefit there, as I did not. That's cheat. We're cheating. That's cheater stuff. We did not need the clear down to the bottom. I just needed to reinitiate my line sooner. Didn't. We got to do what we got to do. There's a little pitfall right here. There's a little groove down there. You kind of want to hug up along this side, but not too much. There we go. There we go. There's a lot of opportunities to reset when coming through back 9. And we, and by we, I mean I, and I mean us, the collective, I try to run this quote-unquote clean. I want to stay on the rock, stay on the obstacle. Don't reset between gates. Feel the flow and ride the flow. And again, provided pumpkin will clear over right there, which it does, and then we carve back. I can't really judge my depth. I don't think I'm going to pop low side. No, there we go. And we are over. Yella is a guy. Yella is a guy that always had a pretty high level of capability from his birth as an ecto. And now we are just further weaponized with the Diamond Pros. Is there a drawback? The drawback is that if you want to use the Diamond Pros for element to their full capability, you are going to have to make some changes. And I also realize that the applicability is less for some, because you probably, I mean, unless you want to go past 18%, you can get 18% in the box. So you could get your element vehicle to a full VRD level of torque split. You can get 38% if that's what you want to do. And you'll also only be speeding the front up a little, because in the box is 18% underdrive, and then you'll be putting another 10% in the back. So 28% of it is underdrive. So you don't have to worry about it unnecessarily speeding up your overall wheel speed, because I'm gearing generally for my top wheel speed, because we've got things like fusions and outrunners, and we can do this. Let's see. We can do things like that. So the low is no problem. So I'm gearing for how much speed do I have to get out of problems? How much torque do I have on tap to do stuff like this? That's what I'm gearing for. So I love the SSD Diamond Pro. Was a nightmare to install on this, but oftentimes the hardest fought victories are the sweetest ones, and these are phenomenal. I would not change them out for anything. And hey, now we have pretty much enough parts, minus universals, minus the, just the universals and the rear drive shafts, to build another set of element axles. And I do like an element axle. I just happen to like these better. So we're gonna let the chopper play us out. I think he's going just north of us. He's not gonna come straight over today. I thank you so much for this little bit of an, because it's search and rescue. It is snowy in the mountains. I thank you so much for for following all the way through on this sort of a quick view, sort of an it came from the workbench installment, sort of a, we're labeling it as a quick view because Yella has been here long enough. He is one of the OGs, one of the first 4 that he knows what life is like around here, and he's gotten some bonuses, and honestly, he may well be very close to, we don't have to mess with that anymore. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Yellow would love that. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us here in the canyon. I want you, in between now and when we meet again, to please, one and all, do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We will see you again very soon here from the canyon. This one probably went on for a little while, but we're just having a really good time. Hope you had a good time. We will catch you in the next one. Oh, Yellow's in the spot. We're gonna drive it out. We'll see you next time, everybody.